Today we are going to talk about something that maybe needs to be on your bucket list that gets you from behind the camera to in front of the camera. Yep, we're talking about doing a photo shoot travel style. So I do have to start out by saying that this activity does have the potential to be a little bit uncomfortable and cause you to step out of your comfort zone. Unless you are a model or an influencer, you're very used to being in front of a professional camera. It can be quite nerve-wracking, and I definitely tend to get a little awkward. I am in no way, shape, or form a model, but I think it is definitely a good way to get some self-love, gain some confidence, and get some incredible memories in the location that you are traveling to. Now, to start off with, why would you want a professional travel photo shoot? When I mean travel photo shoot, I mean someone who's coming in, an external source of friend, with a professional camera and taking photos of you in a location. Now again, why would you want this? Number one, you're not sure if you're going to travel to a location ever again or for a very long time. Maybe, it's a budget reason, maybe you just have no desire to go there ever again, but it is kind of nice to have those professional shots that you can put in the photo album and just say, okay, I'm done. Number two, you're celebrating something that is a big milestone in your life. For example, you're getting engaged or announcing that you're pregnant or proposing or something along those lines. Then for that, it's pretty valuable to get a professional source in to capture those memories because they only happen normally once, twice, whatever, how many times in your life. They're important. And number three, you don't want to have the stress of actually taking the photos yourself. Now, I've been traveling for a long while and I'm so awkward when it comes to asking strangers for photos, and I always have that thought in the back of my mind, like, is this gonna be the day when I run down a street in France chasing some man with my phone? I don't know. Or I do it, I feel really good, and then I look at it and it's like cutting off my head in the photo. Or I like to prop it up on some rock or something, and it's just a terrible photo and it doesn't capture all the beauty that I am seeing. So that is super stressful, and sometimes I'm just like, I just want someone else to do it. Just take away the stress and give me good photos. And also, there's also some situations where getting good photos is the last thing on your mind. Some situations that come to mind is skydiving, bungee jumping. I stayed at a really cool hotel in Peru, which again, that was the last thing on my mind. Pretty much the only thing was my mind is don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. And then I got these amazing photos back and I was like, wow, I didn't even have to try. The guy was just there and he knew all the angles and he knew everything. It's like, how convenient. Great. And number four, this does not apply to everybody, but if you do want to step up your social media game, social media is everywhere. And some people like to put in a lot of effort. I'm one. I'm also a travel blogger, but so I kind of have to be. But if that's you, don't hide it. Just flaunt it. Get those photos, post them on your social media, and people will be like, wow, love it. So what should you expect from a travel photo shoot? Now I'm going to be using the example where I actually hired a local photographer in Budapest to take these amazing photos at Budapest Castle overlooking Parliament. And with my experience, I actually went through Airbnb experiences, but I looked at the photographer, I looked at all of his galleries, said, yes, I love his photos, and, kind of got some inspiration. And then I talked to him about where I wanted, what photos I liked, what kind of vibe I was going for, what the weather was going to be like, clothing. I just talked to him about everything. And I think this is pretty standard for all photography things that kind of ask you what you're looking for. So I would definitely have a good idea of what you want before you go in there. But as soon as we were there, we actually ended up sharing a car to go up to Budapest Castle, and then we took photos for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because we were just having a lot of fun. I know a lot of companies will limit it to 1 hour and you can pay for another hour. And then, yeah, you just do the photo shoot, and kind of guided me with how to pose. And then it again depends on which option you're taking and the photographer, but he actually had the photos to me within like a day, 2 days, and then I picked out my favorites. He edited them and retouched them and then sent them back to me. And it was great. My jaw about hit the floor when I saw these photos. So I was very, very, very happy. Next step, what do you wear to a travel photo shoot? Now, it's important to note that almost all of the photo companies do not provide you with clothing. They might provide you with clothing changes, aka you can bring more than one outfit, depending on who you're going with, but they don't provide the clothes unless it is a specific experience that offers clothing. Like, for example, it is on my bucket list to go do those long dress photo shoots in Greece. I'll get there one day. But anyway, they would provide the dress, but it's going to be more expensive since they're providing the clothing. But normal ones, they don't provide you any clothing, and it can be pretty daunting to know what to wear. And here's what I've learned throughout this experience and other travel experiences. Number one, see where you are and kind of go from there. I'm sure like a ball gown would look great on top of a mountain, but just like think about logistics. You know, you're gonna wanna maybe stand out, unless that's your thing. Unless you wanna like really stand out, then go for it, you know, but just think about where you are. Another option that I would definitely have you consider is think about maybe wearing something that's traditional clothing of that culture. Now, definitely do your research and make sure that it is not disrespectful for you to be wearing that culture's clothing. In my experience, I've worn a lot of different kinds of clothes from different cultures, and in my experience, I've had a lot of very amazing feedback. For example, I did Tokyo and I did a kimono, and you would not believe how many people stopped me in the street saying, "Oh my gosh, you look amazing, thanks for respecting and honoring my culture." And it was great. And honestly, like, if you're in Tokyo, which photo is gonna look better? Me with shorts and a t-shirt, or me in a kimono? It is obviously gonna be the kimono. Those are the jaw-dropping pictures that are really, really gonna make a difference. Another tip I have is step out of your comfort zone. You know, wear something that you're not usually wearing. This is your time to be free and express yourself. If you are in a public location and wearing something absolutely crazy, people are like, "Oh my gosh, what are they wearing?" I know that it automatically gets taken away when people see the camera. They're like, "Oh, they're doing a photo shoot." Like 99.9 times they're like, "Okay, so go crazy. Be yourself and just do it." And I would also encourage you to think about outfits that are going to make the photo pop. I mean, obviously the photo is about you, and the photo is more about the location that you're in because it's a travel photo shoot. But wearing an outfit that can complement the background, but at the same time bring attention to you is very important. If you are stuck, I would actually recommend talking to your photographer, looking at their gallery, maybe looking on Google or social media and just seeing what other people are wearing, see what you like and what you don't like. At the end of the day, be you. Wear the clothes that represent you, because even though the photo is about this amazing location that you're in, at the end of the day, it's still about you in that location. So be yourself. I'm just gonna wear a mermaid tail everywhere, so that's me. Now, probably one of the hardest things we're going to talk about is posing. Now, unless you're like an actor or a model or someone who is used to being in front of a professional camera, that is great. But for normal people, and just equally as amazing people who are not used to being in front of a camera and kind of clam up, like me, it can be a little overwhelming, and you can feel very awkward in certain situations. And here is kind of what I have learned to get through it. Number one, we were talking about finding a photographer, especially if you're just finding a local photographer, not through a company. A lot of them have portfolios. They either have websites where you can look at galleries of things that they've done, or they have a social media that you can go look at. And this is especially nice because, especially if you're in a location, for example, I was in Budapest and I looked at his gallery and his portfolio and said, "Oh my gosh, I like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one." And I thought, okay, let's recreate them. Or I even showed him and was like, "This one is super cool." And that kind of helps him guide you, and it helps you for posing. You know, it gives you tips and tricks. And another thing that I would recommend is don't stop there. You know, maybe search on Instagram or Pinterest, or say, you know, photos in front of Parliament in Budapest, and see what comes up. And it'll also give the photographer an idea of kind of what angles you're looking for, what pictures you are looking for. So that can be kind of a fun way to get the nerves out and just say, okay, this is what I want and this is what I'm gonna do. Pro tip, I would definitely practice these in the mirror first. Don't feel like you're looking silly. It's fine, we've all done it. Just to get your confidence up, shake off some of those nerves and get the poses that you really, really want. Another thing that I would recommend is ask the photographer. They are so privy to the area, they know exactly what they're doing. This is their job. So ask them, say, what should I do with my hand? It's always the hands that are awkward. No one knows what to do with the hands, you know? Another tip that I have is move. Don't do these dynamic poses. I know that all of us are trained when we see something cool in the background to go, but sometimes it kind of looks like you're a Barbie doll, which is probably not what we want. We want adventurous, we want fun, we want travel, we want exploring. So, you know, do whatever feels natural. Do a couple walking action shots, twisting, flipping your hair, doing a yoga pose, whatever works for you, but just something that gives the photo life. It doesn't just look like a snapshot. It looks like it really brings people into your photo when you show them, or when you look at it, it transports you back. It's filled with that life and that energy. And another thing that, depending on the photographer, I also asked if I could see some of them just so I could fix, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Let me just fix one thing. Let me just turn my head just a little bit. So that can also help if your photographer is willing to let you do that. And next, where do you find photographers? The number one easiest and cheapest way to do it is to find a friend who is into photography. Now I know that isn't an option for many people, but photography is a really popular hobby. Sometimes people can pick up a camera and know where they took it in high school or something, and maybe you can convince them to come do a photo shoot with you, or they just like photography and they know how to use a professional camera. Another option, which is going to depend on the country you're in, is you could use a third-party app such as Groupon, or as I said, I used Airbnb Experiences. So I know that you can actually find a lot of things on apps like that, and if you do that, you're going to be finding more local photographers who are independent, like they don't work for a company. And then from there you can go to their website and figure out if you like them as a photographer. Definitely be safety conscious with this. Obviously, if they don't work for a company, there is that chance that you're gonna get yourself into a little bit sketchier situations, but overall, I mean, they love photography and they want you to love their photos. I never have felt unsafe during a photo shoot. Or just bring a buddy with you. And the third is you can just go with a company. There's big, massive companies that will hire photographers within that company. And you can say, I want this, this, and this, and they'll send you one. Normally these are gonna be a little bit more expensive, and in some locations you won't get this. Like I could not find that in Hungary. So, but you could find them all over the place in the US, like I did that for my senior photos. And what should you expect to pay for a photo shoot? This is drastically dependent on where you are, if you're using a friend or a local photographer or a company. For this photo shoot in Budapest, I paid around $95. Normal ones in Budapest, it cost around $50 to $100, where in the US it can cost over $300 and above. What I would recommend is, if you find a price that you are comfortable with, read the fine print, because sometimes these photographers will be like, oh yeah, $50 for a photo shoot, but then you don't get any photos. Or it'll be like, oh, you can get like a photo for $100, or like the entire thing for $700. So they try to get your money wherever they can. So just be smart about it and only choose ones where you know what you're getting, you know what you're paying. The good thing about those other ones is they're always like professionally retouched, digitally edited, and they look amazing. So normally if they are charging those outrageous prices, your photos are gonna look amazing. Other places in the world, especially if it's not like a professional photography hub, you know, and you are hiring that local photographer, you probably can get down in prices a little bit and still have those memories, and they're still amazing photos. I would start off with your budget and what you're willing to pay. And also it's gonna depend why you're doing a photo shoot. I mean, if you're just doing a photo shoot at the Taj Mahal, obviously you're probably gonna have a lower budget, but if you're getting engaged, on the top of a volcano, you're gonna want the most amazing pictures because that's a crazy life event. Both of them are okay, just decide what you're willing to spend and then work backwards from there in trying to find a photographer. Or maybe just use your friend. It's free, buy them a coffee afterwards. There you go. So I want to know what you would think. Would you be interested in doing a travel photo shoot? Would you step out of your comfort zone? And where would you want your travel photo shoot to be? If it could be anywhere in the world, definitely make sure to comment it below because I want to hear all of your ideas. And as always, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more bucket list content. See you next time.